So okay, I'm gonna show you a game I played last year against David Navarra. So this game is interesting to analyze because it's about the initiative, and the idea is to show you how to play the initiative when your opponent is too greedy in the opening. Like David Navarra was too greedy even at his level, and the idea is to show you, you can give your material, but if you get compensation, you can just punish your opponent. So I'm gonna show you. So the opening was an Lagarde, nothing special. So I prepared that before the game. H3, E5, knight B3. Okay, the other main line is knight G, E2. I don't know if you know, but it's not really interesting anyway. Bishop E6, F4. So all that was my preparation, and B5 was a surprise. So the main line is G6. And there is a famous game between Caruana and MVL, so a very theoretical game that was bishop e2, knight d7, g4. I'm just gonna show you the move, just to show you rook c3, pawn takes, knight e4. So it's very complicated game, and both players knew till the 30th move, something like that. So that was just insane. But Navarra decided to play b5. So it's a very rare move, and here, okay, I didn't know how to play. So in this position, what you have to think is, from a positional view, why it is worse. Why it is worse? Because all the black squares are very weak. So when you are worse in a position, from a positional view, you have to play very dynamically to compensate the disadvantage. So here, you have to find a way to play very actively. And the best way to play very actively is to follow the basic plan in Lagarde, which is to push the pawn to create some attack. So I played f5, which is quite logical. Bishop e3 was possible too, but then you have to think about the move like b4, which seems to win a pawn, this pawn. So what happened after b4? You play knight d5. If he takes the pawn, knight's very dangerous because bishop b6 is coming. And you have some knight c7. So he has to play knight b d7 to protect the b6 square. And you just keep developing the pieces with queen f3, and the position is very not clear. So that was another way to play, but I decided to go to something more sharp. So I play f5. And here he played an interesting idea. Instead of playing bishop c4, which looks logical, but actually losing a pawn after bishop takes, pawn takes, and knight d2, he decided to come back in c8. So it looks a bit weird because he's losing some tempo, but actually from a, as I said, positional view, it's very smart, because now my e4 pawn is very weak, and okay, I blocked the position, so now if I manage to play d5, for example, I will just be completely worse. So here I have to take advantage of the fact that he loses some tempo. So I have to play very actively. And can you find a move here? D4? D4? How is it possible to play D4?
No,
G? Yeah, G4. So G4 looks very logical, but you have to think about what happened after B4, because it looks like it's winning a pawn, yeah? So this is the critical moment, actually. Okay, the main threat here is to play B4 or bishop B7. So if you play something a bit passive like bishop G5, with the idea on B4 you can just play knight D5, it will be a bit too passive because you can just play knight B7, and it's a bit weird how the white pieces are placed. For example, A4, B4, knight D5, and after a move like bishop B7, black is completely fine. So you have to play effectively something more aggressive, and the most aggressive here is G4. But here it's very complex position, because after G4, here you can see that all the black squares are very weak. So you really have to think what happened after b4, knight d5, and knight e4. Because now queen h4 is coming, which looks very, very dangerous. And okay, of course, after queen h4, there are many threats like queen f2, knight g3, and so on. Also, after knight d5, you have to think about knight takes and just queen h4 then. For example, pawn takes, queen h4. So I'm gonna show you. Of course, g4 is a right move, but he played b4, which is actually a mistake, which looks a bit weird. The best move was bishop b7 to put pressure on the pawn. Then white can just keep playing bishop g2. It's important to keep the control of the d5 square, because if black managed to play d5, then the position will be very dangerous for white, because the position will open and the bishop will start to play. For example, bishop b4 and something like that. So, for example, b4, knight d5, takes, pawn takes, and something like if queen h4, just king f1. And actually, your king, the white king, is quite safe here because it's very hard to attack the king. So if you play something like a5, you can just play bishop e3, and you will put the king in g1, and there is no problem. And the pieces, the black pieces are not very active, while the white pieces are very active. So okay, David Navarra went for b4, so he wanted to grab the pawn. I think he didn't really calculate, he just played instinctively, thinking that okay, in worst case he will give back some material and it will be completely fine. But actually it's not so easy, we will see why. So I play knight d5, and here he could still play bishop b7, which was better, instead of grabbing the pawn, just to develop some pieces, because actually in the opening the most important is to develop the pieces, it's not to grab material. There are many games where some players were just trying to win materials instead of developing the pieces, and all the time they just got completely destroyed. So this is one of the example. So after bishop b7, for example, just knight f6, and here there is a very smart move. Instead of playing the natural queen f6, because after queen f6, white could just play g5, queen d8, and something like bishop g2, and they have a space advantage. They are clearly better here. Here there is a very smart move for playing to play for the initiative, which is not positional move. It's g takes. The idea is to keep the possibility to play d5 very quickly to open the position, and also to play some h5 move. For example, bishop queen f3, which is better, d5, bishop d3, and here a move like h5, it's very complicated, takes and knight d7. So okay, black gave a pawn, but all the pieces are now very active and they put some pressure in the center. So in this position, actually, it's black who gets the initiative, not white. So let's see what happened in the game. So he took the pawn, and from that position, okay, you were supposed to know what to play when you play g4. So this position you had to keep in mind. So that means what move could you play here? If you know that the main threat is queen h4, and also you know that you have to play very actively here. So that means to play for the initiative, you have to active all your pieces very fast to create some threat. So what could you play here, if you have any idea? There is a multifunctional move here.
F6.
F6?
F.
This one?
Yes.
Okay, this one, it could be interesting actually, because of course it blocks the queen and could open the position. But after knight f6, What is your plan? You want to play bishop g5 maybe?
Yes, with the idea after queen f3
Queen f3?
later.
Okay. Okay, it could be an idea actually.
First bishop.
Pre-text?
You want to play bishop g5 first?
Ah, bishop g5, okay,
Yes,
sorry.
and later the
Okay, bishop g5.
with
Okay, for example, this is a very interesting idea to play for initiative. Like you give material, but in exchange you get a very active development. Yeah.
another idea is that
Yeah. So this is an idea. Okay, here I'm not sure because after bishop e7, he is threatening to trade some pieces. So if you manage to trade some pieces with two pawn-ups, it can be a bit dangerous. So you have to play something like that and queen f3, which can be interesting. But after rook a7, for example, next move he can just castle because he has many pawns up. So in here, if you don't find something very concrete, it can be a bit hard. And bishop h4 is threatening as well. So he could just play bishop h4 before, maybe. So okay, the idea, I mean the general idea to give material to get active pieces is nice. But here you have something simpler. Like you just play a move that develop a piece that prevents the threat and that creates threat as well. By taking this pawn, okay, he won a pawn of course, but he opened the position, kind of. Okay, the move is not so easy actually because black can win material with that move. So that's why I think David didn't calculate. He just saw that he could win material and then it will be fine. But it's not so fine. So I'm gonna tell you. The move is queen f3, simply. With the idea to get a control of the important square here. And at the same time you can see that you start to have some tricks on the rook. So you develop a piece, there is no checkmate anymore with queen h4, and you start to create some threats. But what happened after queen h4? Because it looks like it's winning the rook with a fork. Because no matter where the king goes, the knight will fork and win the rooks. Yeah. But by playing queen h4, the queen is leaving the king, and now you can see that some threats like knight e7 exist. So that's the game. Actually, it's the only move because if the knight moves, there is no square for the knight. If he goes there, you just take and you win the rook then. So everything is forced, yeah. So he played queen h4. So here you have two squares. So in games it's a bit hard, you know. We never know where to put the king sometimes, or the rooks when you have to choose. So here it's quite logical. Could you find what's the best square for the king?
I like d1.
You like d1 now?
Just to not blunt the bishops.
Yeah, that's the main point actually. But no matter the square you go, he will check you. If you go to d1, he will check you in f2. If you go to e2, he will check you to g3. So actually, you have to think where your king will be better once he will take the rook. So this is the good thinking that you don't want to block the bishop. So logically, you have to go where now?
So maybe e2.
Yeah.
So after the check, you can.
Yeah, that's exactly. So it's quite logical, but you know, in games you never know. But that's the right thought. So you go to e2 because knight g3 is forced. If you move, it's the same, knight e7. And now you go to d1 and your bishop is not blocked. So knight takes. And here it's the most, I think, important position of the game. And the most difficult move to find, actually. So if you analyze the position, you have a rook and a pawn down with white. But all your pieces are very active. Like in many threats exist, like knight c7. Okay, he develops no pieces. The queen is already developed. You know, when you're in the opening, you are not supposed to develop your queen first. You're supposed to develop your pieces and then your queen. So here there are many candidates move. What are the candidates move?
Knight c7.
Okay, so knight c7 is the first move you look, of course, because it's a check and you are winning back material. But here it's a very important principle when you play for the initiative. When you play for the initiative, if you get back some material thanks to your initiative, that means you will lose your initiative. Because the time you have to get the material back, then black, your opponent, will manage to, you know, to save a bit his position. I mean,
You have some kind of g5.
okay, some kind of g5 is interesting to block the queen, or to avoid the queen to come back in defense. So the problem with g5 is black can try to counterplay with e4, something like that. And even some move like queen e4, for example. Because if black managed to trade some material, then the initiative will decrease for white. So here it's a very good position of initiative, but you have to increase your initiative again. So we will analyze what happened after knight c7. Okay, the other move is to take the knight. So you get back some material, and at the same time you keep your initiative. But it's not so clear. So we will start by queen e3. Bishop e3. Yeah. So actually, the very good move is bishop e3 in this position. Yeah, that's exactly why how you play initiative. Initiative, you just have to active all your pieces, and more you active your pieces, more the threats will be to your opponent. And bishop e3 is a very good move because you control the square, so the knight is trapped, and at the same time you start to bring some pieces over the king. He cannot play rook a7 because you control the square, so your threat is still existing. He cannot play queen d8 because bishop b6. So bishop e3 is a very good move. Like, you don't care about the material, you just keep increasing your activity. So let's analyze just what happened after that. For example, he can just play rook a7. So now he controls the c7 square. Bishop e3, rook d7. Knight d2 with the idea to again active your pieces to better squares. But just bishop b7 and black managed to develop the pieces, and it's not so easy to find something. Okay, knight e7 was the main line to analyze. King d8, knight takes. So it looks very dangerous for black, because actually after queen h1, white will be a piece up. So it looks completely winning. But here, white has a very nice move to play for initiative. Black has a very nice move to play for initiative. So here, the time you have to take to get back some material, you give black the possibility to play for initiative. So there is a very strong move here.
What's wrong with knight f2?
Alors, knight f2 is possible, but you will just play king e2. And actually, your knight is trapped.
Yeah.
But, okay, of course, if you can manage to save your knight with knight g3, for example. What happened after knight g3? The problem is your knight is trapped, so even if I play something like that, you don't have any perspective with your knight. I'm just gonna play bishop e3, bishop f2, for example. Now here there is a very nice move, which is not easy at all to find. Okay. Now you have black. I will put the black position. E4. Okay, E4 is interesting idea with the idea to if I take you can play knight G3 now. That's knight F2, sorry. Knight F2 is better. So yeah, E4 is deviation move.
And maybe close the
But you can just simply take, and you have a piece down. Now here, you have to play for the initiative, and the initiative is to put pressure on your opponent and to active your pieces. So here you can put pressure of your opponent in a nice way that will active a pieces. And a piece, I'm not even sure you think it can be active in this position. So okay, these pieces will not be active because you don't have any perspective. This piece cannot very be active, because to be active you have to play d5, something like that, but queen takes it just. So there is another piece.
Bishop B7.
Bishop b7?
No.
d7?
Black bishop.
This one?
No.
This one?
Black, yes.
Bishop e7, yeah, but okay, you develop a piece, but it's not very active. Like you are not creating any pressure. So the crazy move here is to play h5. And actually, it's this piece which will be active. The idea is after queen takes, you just take, and now suddenly your rook will enter the game. And if white plays something like bishop e3, you can just take. And okay, you have a piece down, but you have a very strong pawn, and the position is not clear at all. You will take the pawn, and you will have many pawns. You will have many pawns, and this pawn can promote anytime, so it's very hard to play for white here. Here, black is getting the initiative, even if they have material done. So you always have to think about even counterplay when you are worse. So the time I lost to get back the material, black managed to get the initiative. So bishop e3 was a very nice move. And after bishop e3, now you are threatening knight c7, because it's completely different. Now you have developed pieces, because you will have bishop b6 all the time if he plays king d2, king d8. So he played, okay, let's analyze for example h5, the same idea, knight c7, king d8, queen takes. You can even take with a queen now, because if king c7, you have queen a7, okay, it's just calculation, but it's easy. It's simple, you just bring a new piece and now you have so many threats that it's completely winning. So he played the only move, he played knight g3, so he decided to keep the material, which is a nice strategy actually. If you have material up, but you are facing the initiative, you can try to keep the material to give it back at the right moment, you know? But the problem is the position is probably already lost here for black. So knight g3, can you find the move here? It's a nice move again. Just to increase the pressure on the position. You can still increase the pressure.
I like bishop f2.
Bishop f2? Yeah, bishop f2 is the move. You're just increasing again the pressure over the position. If you play something like knight c7, okay, the problem is it's not so clear after something like that. He has some knight f1, and he managed to exchange to trade the pieces, and it's not so clear after bishop b7. So bishop f2 is really strong because you just leave your opponent with his shitty position. You know? Yeah. So here he played very actively an active defense, because actually he's just lost. So he played e4. So he tries to find some counterplay to give back some material to save his position. So he could also play rook a7 with the same idea to give material back. And for example, if I take with the rook, now you can find some counterplay with h5 again. It's complicated, but because all the pieces are hanging. But for example, bishop b8 takes, and queen g4, and now it looks a bit dangerous for white. No, the rook is now very active. He can enter the game. So this is typically a position where black gives back material to play for the initiative. So here, if you play very precisely, you have to take the knight, queen d8, and something like a3. So a3, once again, you active your last pieces who doesn't play. So it's the rook, just to create some more pressure. You know? Takes, rook takes, and now the position is very, very difficult. Some bishop b5 ideas or knight f5, I don't know. And the position is just very hard to play for black. So bishop a3, knight g3, bishop f2. So he play e4, and here it's a critical moment again. Where do you put the queen?
I would play queen takes knight.
Yeah, you are. So the problem is, if you play queen takes knight, you are trading the most important pieces. You are trading the queen, and actually the black king is more in danger than the white queen. So if you manage to keep the queens, it's better for white, because you can create some mating ideas. Take what?
Pawn.
Take the pawn. The problem is, if you take the pawn like that, you have to count the pieces. You have a rook down. So now, just after rook a7, without the queen, it will be hard to create something, you know?
Is that f4?
Yeah. So actually, you have two moves here. You have, okay, or maybe three if you count queen g2, but it's not. You have queen f4 with the same idea, just to keep the pressure, or queen e3. So it's like with the king. Where do you put the queen? And I made a mistake during the game. I went to the wrong square. There is a big difference. And it's actually the same logic that with the queen, with the king.
I don't see why, but if it's the same logic, I would go e3 first, because I want to reach f4 in the end, but I don't know how it works. Oh, no.
Yeah, okay, it's almost the same logic. Because, okay, the difference is there is no check here. So, queen g2?
Yeah.
Okay, queen g2, what was the problem with queen g2? I don't remember what was the problem. I don't know if I could. Let's find what was the problem. There is no knight f1 because the knight is controlling e3, so I don't remember. Bishop b7 maybe. You take, yeah. And I play king queen d8. And it's actually it's a game. I played that, and that was a game, I think. No, that wasn't a game. Okay, maybe queen g2 is interesting, but I know only one move is winning here. So Okay, let me cheat. Oh no, I don't have the computer. Queen G2. I just have to think why it's not winning. Juanma, why is not winning Queen G2? Why why is it not winning?
Not winning? Who you?
Yes.
When?
Okay, Queen G2, Queen D8. You take with the queen? Yeah, but now it's a bit like you lost some times to. So now after knight d7 and bishop b7, it will be fast for black to come back. Here you have to be very precise actually, not to lose your initiative. But queen d8, but it's interesting queen g2 as well.
One thing, if queen go to d8, it's possible.
Yeah.
When
Bishop b6.
Bishop b6.
Yeah, bishop b6 is the main idea. But bishop b6, I play queen h4.
No good.
You play knight c7.
c7.
Yeah. But you missed the beginning of the class. So now it's not so easy because the time you take to get back the material, then I can simplify the position. For example, with queen f1.
Oh.
With knight f1, and after bishop b7, it's not clear at all. h5 because it's hard to attack the king now.
Okay.
I'm gonna show you the difference. That's why it's very hard to. Yeah, it's very hard to see the difference. Actually, the right move, I play queen e3 during the game, which is a bad move because, as I said at the beginning, it blocks my bishop. So after queen d8, it's not clear. I don't have bishop b6 anymore. But the winning move was queen f4, and you will see the difference with queen g2. So it's the same, queen d8, bishop b6, queen h4, knight c7, king d7, takes, knight f1, and here the biggest difference is there is knight c5 winning. Because if you take, I have queen c7. So basically, the queen is more active in f4. It's hard because you have to calculate to justify why it's better. But just the queen is better placed in f4 because he can create some threats. And in g2 you couldn't have knight c5. So that's why it was winning after bishop b6. So queen f4. Okay, there are many other moves. But for example, if you just try to castle with bishop e7, you just take. Queen e6 only moves because the queen is trapped. Takes, and now you just get back the material. You have even a piece up, so it's completely winning. So after queen f4, actually the position is completely winning. There is no move. If you play rook a7 to give back some material, it will not be enough. You just take queen there and takes. Okay, rook e7 takes. You just the black position is just completely lost. And you will see the biggest difference with what I played with queen e3, which is a big mistake. You can simply come back, and even if the position is completely winning for white, it's absolutely not winning anymore. That's the biggest point. So now you have to take with the bishop. He plays knight c6, and now he managed to develop the pieces. So that means either you find something very concrete, or that means you just missed the initiative. Okay, white is not worse, yeah, obviously, because it's very active. But I missed the winning move, and now I have to play a new game, you know, because it's not winning anymore. So queen takes, knight e5. So here he's trying to find some counterplay. He's giving back some material to develop the pieces and to trade the pieces. And the biggest problem in my position here is my king is in d1. And now he can find some ideas to take advantage of that. For example, if I takes, I have some trouble here. So it's not easy actually. For example, bishop b7, I can't play knight c7. And he will castle the next move and bishop b7. And with my king in d1, it's very hard to play something. Okay, can you find the best move here? It's very, very hard. Like I didn't even think about that during the game. You have a very nice move to play for the initiative again, so that means to active your pieces and at the same time to create some threats.
Is it again something with the rook?
Yeah, you want to. If you manage to bring the rook in the game, you can create some ideas. And at the same time, you want to create the ideas with bishop e5 without getting some counterplay on the king. King e1 is a nice idea. King e1 is a nice idea. I don't know the difference. But king e1 is a nice idea, yes. With the idea to bring the rook in d1. So I don't know the nuances, but okay. I know the best move was king e2. So that was the same the same idea actually. Maybe the idea is to leave the e1 square maybe for the rook somehow. But okay, it's very hard to find a move like that in this position. Like you just thinking about the concrete move like takes or bishop g2, but king e2 or king e1 is very hard to find. But actually, if you follow the initiative principle to active the pieces, you can find it.
I like knight d4.
Knight d4? Okay, but the problem in knight d4, you will play bishop b7.
A lot of activity for black.
Now black start to get some annoying move, no? If you manage to castle, the position will be lost. Because actually you have a material down, and your king will be weak if you manage to castle. And you will not have any attack anymore. So that's why you have to be very, very active. So king e2, bishop b7 for example, rook d1. So before he castle, you have to increase the pressure, you know. Bishop e7 takes. If he takes, now you have knight f6. So you manage to create new ideas with the rook, which is completely winning. Castle, which is kind of forced, but at least he is not made. And bishop e4, and you manage to get back material, and okay, the position is completely better for white, maybe just winning. You have two pieces for a rook. If you just manage to put your king safer, and it's fine. So I played a bad move, but which seems a bit logical. I just played bishop g2 to active the bishop, but that was not the right pieces to active. Because actually my bishop is not... I mean my bishop is good in f1, he can go anywhere. That was not the right pieces, I should have activated this one. So bishop g2, bishop b7, and now he managed to develop two pieces. Queen b4. I don't have anything better than that because it never works to play like that. It's always the same problem. So queen b4, rook b8, and now every move he's making is just increasing the pressure over my position because now every move is threatening something. So here I have to find some play. I don't have anything to do. Actually, I was short in time in this position because I couldn't find the win. So I spent too much time. So I decided to exchange the queen just to release the pressure because actually the pressure is on me now. But that was a mistake. I should have keep the queen and play something like queen d4. And okay, the position is not clear, but I completely missed my initiative. So I played that just to show you the game. And okay, this position is not clear, but who is better now?
I like white pawn structure.
Yeah, the white pawn structure is good. Okay, it looks like if you just see like that, everybody will say, okay, white is better. Just
the rook is so sad in A1.
yeah, the rook is not taking part in the game. And okay, we will say white is better because the pieces looks very active. But actually, black will get the initiative after h5. They will start to break the structure, and it will be very hard to play something concrete with white. So I play king e2 to bring the rook in the game. But after h5, now it's black who is getting the initiative. I play rook d1 because I was short of time and I wanted to create some trick, like 95 for example. But now the queens are not on the board anymore, it's not the same, you know. I should have played g5 to keep the position close, h4, bishop f4, bishop e7, but okay, the position is very unclear, but black is fine. So I play rook d1, rook e8. So he's threatening some stuff. King f2 takes, and now the position is getting very difficult. Knight c5. I can just show you the end, but the position is already hard. So I try little tricks. I try to make him up with knight c5. He takes. Knight f6. King e7, bishop e5.
Oh, it's mate, no?
Because it's made. But you can't trick David Navarra when it's concrete like that. He just took bishop d6, king d7, and actually I have nothing here. Even if I have a lot of discoveries with the bishop, I can't find something winning. So bishop takes and king c8, and he's protecting the bishop, and now the position just lost. Takes, and at the end I'm just lost. So I resign here because I can't prevent the pawn to promote. So here it's a perfect example of how you have to play initiative in the opening when your opponent is too greedy. So that means after knight e4, actually the position was already lost after something like 7 moves or 8 moves. So David Navarra is 27, and he managed to be lost in 7 moves because too greedy. Okay, of course it's very hard to see all the moves, but everything was kind of forced and logical here. If you find bishop e3, which was a very nice move because you don't take the material, you just increase your initiative, then the position is just winning because all your pieces are very active. It looks like a Morphe's game, I don't know the game, but where he just gave all the material, all the rooks, and at the end he mates with the knights, or it was a bit the same. And so here queen f4 was winning. So okay, even when you have the initiative, you really have to play precisely, because if you just miss one move, your initiative can be gone. And if your initiative is gone, and even psychologically it's very hard to come back. Like for example, when I play queen e3 in the game, I realized that was not the winning move. Just when I played queen e3, I just said, but why didn't I play queen e4? That was just completely winning. And after that, it's very hard to come back in the game, you know. Like I play queen e3, I see queen d8, and I don't have bishop b6. I was just like, it's impossible to lose to not win such a game. So, and after he played, he managed to get back the initiative, and the position was too hard to play. So that's all. That was a game about the initiative in the opening. And if you are interested in initiative, I'm writing a book about the initiative, which will be released in 2021 in every aspect of the game. So not only in the opening. And the idea of the book is to help you to understand when to play for the initiative and how to play for initiative. For example, in attacking position, how to play for initiative. When you are lost, how to play for initiative. In openings, how to play for initiative when your opponent is not precise. Or even in positional position, how to play for initiative. So yeah, if you are interested, the book will be ready soon. Okay?
Nice.
Yeah, so I can show you just an exercise about the initiative. Okay, no, I'm just gonna show you to finish. Okay, let me just find, because I didn't plan to do that. Okay, I'm gonna show you this one. Okay, we don't care about the opening, we will not spend time. That. It's a Dutch, I don't know if you know. I just bring you to the position. Okay, here. How do you play with black? You have to play for the initiative.
Bishop b4.
Okay, bishop b4 is an idea, because you are threatening cb2, and at the same time you are developing the pieces. But what happened after? Okay, I can take. The problem is you can't really create something after takes. You can just simply play c3. It's very complex position because everything is pinned. But you have nothing. You don't have time to promote as well because you are mate. So of course it's an idea like that, to play with the bishop on the black squares, but you have to do it. Okay, just so you know, in the game I took, because I was a coward, and I played rook b8, and I managed to draw because I have enough compensation for the pawn.
But that means that like at least queen d2 is an improvement over that.
Queen
Then
d2
you don't
now?
develop the white rook.
Here?
Yeah.
Take.
That must be an improvement, right?
No, because I'm losing a tempo. I don't have.
Rook d8.
Yeah, but this pawn
d7.
is very.
Okay.
If I can't take that pawn, no, because during the game, at least I managed to have him a bad structure, because that was that, and he's forced to take with the pawn. So at least I can play on the structure. No, okay, here I'm gonna show you because it will be too long. You have to take. So you just basically give a rook, takes. And here you just simply take. rook b1, so you have a rook down, but you have all the black squares. So now you can start to create some threats. You play bishop b4. If you play c3, you can take. If you play king f2, you bring your queen e4. And actually this position is completely winning. Okay, I will not enter the details, but just to show you how you can get the initiative by playing on your asset. Like you have all the black squares, the king is weak, and you have the two bishops, so you have to create something. So the crazy line is that. I saw that, I had the idea in the game, but after king f2, bishop c5, I thought I could draw. Okay, it's the best for white. But after king g3, I couldn't find anything. Like I was a coward. I thought the position was a bit hard for white, but okay, if you don't find something concrete, you still have a rook down, you know. And here there is a crazy move. There are two moves actually. There is one human move and one computer move. Computer move is really nice and completely winning. And the human move, you can put pressure. And still the same idea to increase the pressure by activating and bringing new pieces, you know.
Short castle?
A short castle can be an idea, but actually not sure you are bringing rook e8, yes.
You have the h3 square.
If you manage just to play check, because queen d5 is coming out. But okay, of course you want, if you can bring your
h5.
h5. h5 is a human move, yes, because you are just protecting the bishop, and at the same time you are creating new threat with some h4. You can bring the rook sometimes. So that was a human move I should have considered more. For example, queen d3, just queen b8. Now you are knight f4. Nope. And just
Bishop d6 or...
You have to be careful about the counterplay, because if you manage to change the queen, and here you just play queen e5, that's crazy, but... And the next move you play g5, for example. You just avoid to the queen's trade, and you keep the initiative, you know? So this position is very hard to play for black, but the computer move was just crazy, it was g5 here. So actually you just take the square of the king and it's like -4, but it's insane to find that move. Because it's just completely blocked with these pieces. And if you play something like rook b2 to control the b8 square and to create some counterplay, you just play queen e4, so you bring your pieces to the king, and after h5 you are threatening a lot of queen e5, h5, h4 and so on. So just by playing the initiative you can... Okay, it's hard because you have to be courageous. I was not courageous during the game, because I have the idea, but I thought, okay, it's too hard to calculate. But you have to follow your instinct, you know, because actually when you see this position, it's quite logical there is something for black, because the king is in g3 and all the pieces are active. And
But it's so hard with the initiative, as we saw with the last game. One inaccuracy and the initiative fade away and you're lost. I mean,
yeah, okay, I was not lost in the previous game, I just missed the win. That's a good thing about the initiative. Is okay, one of the best thing in initiative is it's harder for your opponent than for you to play, because it's harder to fade the initiative than to play with the initiative. When you fade the initiative, you have to defend very precisely. Okay, when you play someone like David Navarra, he can most of the time defend well, but most of the players don't like to face initiative, and they will make a mistake very, very easily. Because when you have the initiative, that doesn't mean you are winning. That just means you are putting pressure on your opponent. Like if you play initiative against a computer, you will never win, because you will always find some moves and so on. But for a human, it's very hard. From my experience, because I play a lot with initiative, I managed to to win many games, even lost games. Just if you feel you can have initiative somewhere, it's always the best defense. If you are lost in a position, don't try to play solidly and to hold few more moves. It's not interesting. Try to find something to complicate the position and to play for initiative. That will be in my book. There is a chapter about how to play initiative when you are lost. Okay, that's it
Okay,
for
thank you.
today.
Thank you.